You have better things to do than worry about what to wear. People notice when you're hiding, so you have to get dressed every day. So why not
Mhm.
enjoy it? Even if your
Yeah.
body is changing, even if you
Yeah.
want it to change in any
Yeah.
direction.
Welcome back to Success in Mind. Today I am joined by Marisol Colette, also known as the fashion therapist. She's a transformational personal stylist, a licensed psychotherapist, and an entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience. She fuses 2 decades of trauma healing expertise with fashion consulting to help people express their most authentic selves with clarity, confidence, and style. You are in for such a great conversation today. Marisol holds nothing back. We talk about finding your personal style, how we communicate through our clothing, the psychology of color, and so much more. You are in for a treat. Hi, Marisol. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me, Teri.
I have to say, I'm really excited about this interview because this is a topic I've been so curious about, and I just didn't have a person who could come and talk about it. So I'm really glad that we connected, and now here you are. This is perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
So I want to start with the question that most people listening are probably going to be wondering, and that is, what is a fashion therapist?
So I am a licensed clinical social worker. So I have my master's in social work. And also I grew up with a bunch of artists. I am an artist myself. I always have had great sense of fashion. And years ago, it was probably 2013. I used to go into people's closets, like a closet edit for fun and for free. And I had a girlfriend say very explicitly to me, she said, this is so much more than just what to wear or what not to wear. This is truly transformative. And that made sense to me as a therapist, that there would be something deeper there. And I would typically ask the questions that I would ask in therapy, which is like, how does this make you feel? And talk to me more. If somebody says something about themselves, some story or narrative, like, let's talk about that. So that's essentially what I've done is I've married I'm going on 20 years of being a therapist with my
Wow.
expertise in fashion and personal styling. So, yeah.
And how did you come to bring those two together? Like, what was that moment for you where you said, I can merge these two worlds of mine and create this thing? How did that come about?
Yeah, I have always felt so fortunate to be able to be paid to support people. So to walk with people in their healing journeys, that's something that is so kind of inherent or ambient to my being. And I worked as a social worker at the VA hospital for about 10 years, and the creativity component just wasn't there. I mean, that's like the most
Right.
obvious place for me to not have creativity. And I couldn't live without it. Like I sang on the side, I went to art school, like all of these things that
Mhm.
were also a big part of my life I didn't have. And so when that girlfriend said that to me, I thought, okay, here we go. And somehow I was born with an immense amount of self confidence, regardless of
Nice.
failures in my life. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make up this job. And October was my 10 years.
Amazing. And when you started, like, did people jump on board with you right away? Or was it difficult to get people to understand what it is that you were doing? How did it work growing this into a business?
It was it both made sense from the perspective of people were like, oh, yeah, it's super emotional getting dressed, or
Mhm.
I really stress out when I'm shopping, or I wear the same thing every day, but I don't really feel good in it. So that made sense. And, as we build a business, and especially one where you're paving a new path, it's, my elevator pitch. When I was trying to explain it to people, I'm like, it obviously, it's just like, yeah, obviously. So I had to work on that part of it. And I think that piece of it was more about, how do I offer this to folks? Like, what is it? How do I explain what the offering is? And I find that even though the term fashion therapist or a personal stylist who also has a degree as a therapist makes sense to people, I also find that the thing that I hear every time is when I'm in the middle of working with somebody or done working with them, they're like, this is more than I ever expected. This is like a whole new me, a transformation that I didn't know was possible through this lens. And the last thing I'll say is for me, because fashion and personal styling and all of the and color and expression of self comes so natural to me, I make it really fun. So I basically flipped social work that can sometimes be cathartic or heavy, and I flipped it on its head and said, let's go in through this portal of like, let's be girlfriends, or let's just have a good time and play dress up.
And what would a session look like with you? If someone comes to work with you, what does it look like and what can they expect in the process?
So I know that you work with a lot of entrepreneurs and people who are also paving their own path. And so
Yeah.
I have I have a couple of things that I would say to that. One is I do a lot of branding and marketing work with folks from the perspective of how do they show up for their business in a way that is consistent, recognizable, and very in alignment with their business and their brands.
Yeah.
I'm noticing the way that you organize your books behind you. I notice your pink lipstick and your cool glasses. It's like little things that we see that help me to get to know you better because we don't know each other very well. And so,
Right.
what is it about Teri that I can see just at face value and how you show up consistently on social media? The consistency of it from a marketing perspective, of course, but also just the sense of like, oh, yeah, this person is consistent. This person shows up and shows up as themselves. There's a very clear feeling of what it what it is like for the person on the other end who's receiving information or looking to hire you is to like, can I trust this person? What do I see when I see them, and the confidence? So when I the branding and marketing with entrepreneurs, a lot of times that's actually through photo shoots. So I'll dress folks for photo shoots, business photo shoots, in a way that really encompasses all of themselves in their business, all of their heart-centered values and goals for their business. And that is a
Okay.
super fun thing. And then, so what that means is we meet, we talk. I have an extensive questionnaire. Who are you? Who are you becoming?
Hmm.
What do you stand for? How do you want to show up? And then I usually do people's colors as well in the process. I call them color allies. And then, yeah, is that,
Yeah. Tell me more about that. That sounds intriguing.
yeah. A lot of people know about seasonal color analysis, which is like what colors This is
Yeah.
this is that, except for through the psychology lens of color ally being there are no rules, but there are colors that enhance your natural beauty, all genders, natural beauty, but like your inherent beauty. And also, how then can we use those in particular settings? So when I'm on a podcast, or when I'm doing a speaking engagement, or when I'm on a sales call, or meeting with a friend on a Saturday morning, what those colors evoke for us and how we can use them to our benefit. The other thing I'll say about the session, so it always involves like a real in-depth conversation about to really start to define and refine that how we want to express our insides on the outside. And then I do very tactical things, like I go through people's closets. I work with people all over the world, so I do that virtually through Zoom, which
Wow.
set it up and have a closet session. And then I travel to some clients, and then anybody who's local, I go to their house. We go through their closet. We edit out what no longer serves them. We remake looks with pieces that they have. So it's a
Nice.
refresh of all that they already have. And then we look for gaps. And then we shop online or in person, and we
Cool.
reinvent the wardrobe.
That sounds like so much fun.
It is so much fun.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. How does personal style impact an entrepreneur's confidence, would you say? Like when they're walking into a room, how does that impact them?
Yeah. I mean, imagine standing on stage and your pants are too tight or too loose, and they don't really feel great, or like the fit is off. And one of the things that I always say is you have better things to do than worry about what to wear. I mean, if you're going to be in a place where you're trying to make an impact, or you're trying to say something really important, or you've been invited to say something and speak, or, even showing up
Yeah.
on Zoom, which we can talk about later, since a lot of our work is virtual in
Mhm.
general. But like, how does it feel to feel really good in your body? And like, I know that I look great. It takes that entire distraction out of like, how do I look? How do I feel?
Yeah.
Not to mention the amount of time wasted in the beginning of the day trying to figure out what to wear. It's like I take that burden away so that people can um, spend 100% of their time focused on what they are here to do.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I always hear about people like Barack Obama who had the same suit, 20 of them or something like that, and the same shirt, the same tie, so that he didn't have to decide what to wear. It was just a uniform. Or
Yes,
Steve Jobs, who wore the same turtleneck, jeans, running shoes every day so that he didn't have to think about it. And I think, sometimes that seems really appealing to just have a uniform that you could just put on, it looks good, you feel good in it. But I also think that could be kind of restrictive if you're only wearing the same thing every day. So how do you create a wardrobe with your clients where they don't have that burden of thinking about what to wear, but they have sort of like a standard look and feel to it without getting bored?
sure. A lot of it is color. It has to do with color so that, it's easy to mix and match. So I have clients who are maximalists who don't mind to have like an array of things in their closet, just a ton of options. That's really easy for them. It's not stressful. I do, however, so I have a virtual platform, which is a digital closet. So I make looks. So I have one client who literally opens her app in the morning, puts on the outfit. Day two, she opens the app, puts on the next outfit. Like she does not have time, energy, or even like it just doesn't come natural for her to figure out what to wear. So she just opens the app, puts on the
Right.
outfit, goes. And so that's one way to navigate that if they have a lot of stuff in their closet. The other is just like really honing in on color. So, what colors are going to best suit you, and then having everything go together that way can be really easy. And then, what you were talking about, this, I don't know if you said the word stagnant or restrictive.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
restrictive.
Yeah. So, if you're going to go on a Saturday morning and you're going to go do a thing, and then you're going to go to a networking event on Sunday evening, and then you're going to work from home on Monday, like it is true that those three things you don't have the need to wear the same thing. Right. And
Right.
so, what does it feel like? Like I just packed for somebody. Who did I just pack for? I just packed for somebody who was going to Vegas for a conference. And she was like, "Oh, I can wear this outfit from the conference to dinner." And, of course she can. And we did make it so that she could just change her shoes and jacket and go. And also, I invited her. I was like, well, let's think about this. Like, how do you want to let go of the conference day and turn it into like the feeling of, being relaxed after a long day and going to a really nice dinner?
Yeah.
you know, but everything goes together. So if she lost her phone, her app, her computer, everything, she would know exactly what to wear because everything in her closet at this point goes together and it all speaks to her
Nice.
personality, all of it.
Nice. Oh, I love that. That sounds so amazing. It reminds me of when you're talking about like letting go of the conference and moving into sort of the evening and stuff. It reminded me of like back in the COVID times when everyone was working from home and talking about working in their pajamas and only being like really dressed from like the waist up because they're showing up on camera, but underneath they'd have their sweatpants or their pajama pants on. And I was telling all my clients, no, you get dressed. Like you
You get
dress
dressed.
from like, completely
H to
dressed.
T, H to T,
Yeah.
head to
Oh, I
toe.
like that. I like that. Yeah, because it does change how you feel and how you show up and how you like, if I had sweatpants on underneath this, I wouldn't have the same energy or the
Yeah,
same
exactly.
you know what I mean? Of course you know what I mean. Yeah, so it's cool to
Yeah,
hear
I mean,
that, and
you've got it. That's it.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah,
I do
totally.
have to say, I was kinda like, "What do I wear for this interview?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna wear what I would wear for any other interview." But I
That's
did
right.
have that moment of like, "What do I wear for Marisol?" Like, this is
Yeah.
what she does.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people say that it's a double-sided coin. Is that
Mhm.
two-sided? Yeah, but it's
Yeah, yeah.
both. Yeah. So one thing that I say about that is again, like, please don't stress out about that. That's what I tell
Mhm.
people because, I also really enjoy dressing like a 12-year-old kid, overalls and
Nice.
goofy shoes and layers of whatever, just because sometimes it feels really fun and freeing to do that. And then I
Yeah.
also dress like a 41-year-old woman that has a family and a successful business and a kiddo. So all of that. So, at any point, as long as you feel really good in what you wear, that's what I'm going to end up seeing anyways.
Mhm.
is that felt sense of confidence and assuredness and authenticity. On the other
Yeah.
hand, when people say that they stress out about what to wear, or even just think about what to wear around me, I think that that is a little bit of a gift of the stress of it, or the concern of it is that person having to pause and ask themselves, not what I would like, but like what is going to actually make them feel great. And people
Yeah.
will say things like, I don't know. I don't want to like show up to this party and stand out. And all that ends up happening, maybe there are a couple people who feel insecure, which I hope that they find support and love around that, but is that they inspire other people. Oh, you can wear that?
Mhm.
What if I wore the thing that I really wanted to wear? I was afraid to wear the red dress, so I wear the black one. And, it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's inspiring too.
Yeah. And I think it's so empowering too to just like take those bold chances and put on the thing that you really want to wear. I'm reminded of a speaking event I did a couple weeks ago where like 2 weeks before it, I was thinking about, okay, what am I going to wear? How do I want to represent myself at this event? And I got this idea that I was like, I want a red suit. I want a bold red suit. And so I started looking online. I found one. I got it in time to get it tailored, like literally like just in time to be able to get it tailored. And I have never had so many compliments on something I've
Yeah.
worn on stage that
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Where did you get that suit? That's fantastic." The
Yeah.
photographer was like, "This is photographing so well on you. You should do a photo shoot in this suit." And I was
I
like,
get a tingleometer. I get chills.
good, good. But I was like, oh, okay. And I've never in my life worn red. Like I just in a moment was like, I want something red. And so then I went and got a red sweater
Mm,
because I'm like, I want that feeling
yeah.
again. And so I got a red
Mm.
sweater that I wore to another networking event. And people were like, oh, that red on you is amazing. You should wear lots of red. And I'm like, I should wear lots of red. Why not? And so it's like, don't rob yourself of that feeling, I guess is what I'm saying. Of
Mm.
walk into the room and have that feeling of just, yeah, being amazing. Yeah.
You talk a lot about imposter syndrome on this podcast.
Mhm.
You talk a lot about being bold, rewiring your brain, all of those things. What I just heard you say is I had a thought, had like an inspired thought.
Yep.
Never worn red before is amazing because you're a true winter, right?
Am I? I've always wondered. I
Yes.
knew it was a winter something, but I didn't know which
Yeah.
one. Oh, a
There's
true
there's
winter.
three subcategories, but it is also, winter is winter, so you can wear all the I wouldn't go in the super light tones just because you have
No.
such strong features. Yeah. So I would go true to like the richest one.
Cool.
And probably the richest would be like speaking engagements or I don't know, like a Christmas party or something like that
Yeah.
where you want to dazzle. So what was I going to say? What were we just, oh yeah. What I heard you.
Yeah.
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 So I heard what you didn't do was that you did not hiccup in that line of thinking. Like you've obviously,
Mm.
you're walking your talk as that you didn't hiccup. And so you said you didn't have that moment where you're like, I don't know, I've never worn red before. What if it goes bad? Or who do I think I am? Which you talk about imposter syndrome and stuff. Who do I think
Yeah.
I am? What if I look insert whatever that then ends up oftentimes stopping people. So your brain is plenty retrained, of course,
Thank you.
and you went through with it. You went through with it. And then the reinforcement, which it is not about impressing other people, but
No.
they saw that shine. They saw your confidence. They were inspired. I mean,
Mhm.
the thing is you actually look really good in black and winters look great in black. That is the
Thanks.
season that wears black.
Yeah.
Everybody else is usually in a navy or some other blue, but
Yeah.
so you can. And I worked with a woman who was doing a big speaking engagement in New York City. And her whole talk, she used to be a dance teacher. And she is a business coach because she has owned a couple of really successful dance studios and businesses. And so she's a business coach also now. And she has this beautiful body that was part of her talk, which is that somebody called her fat after she was on an interview on a morning show. It's like, how could she be a dance teacher if she's fat? She has a
Wow.
huge hips and butt. And it's all like part of, I mean, of course, it's all part of her beauty. It's like, it is in fact what makes her such a great dancer for the styles of dance that she does. And so we put her in She's also winter this royal blue form-fitted midi dress,
Mm,
bodycon midi dress. And she had her arms out and she danced and she moved her hips and you could see them
yeah.
as a part of this talk. And people said very much, very similar to what they said to you. People said, "Oh my gosh, I remembered you. I remembered you. And in large part because of what you were wearing,
Mhm.
what you were saying was in alignment with this body acceptance that you were talking about, was in alignment with like, I could see your body, your dance, the way that you move through the world, your confidence
Yeah.
and the confidence to be a business consultant that you could lead people to starting their own businesses successfully. It's
Yeah.
like I could see confidence. And
Amazing.
everybody else wore black, so she just stood out that way. People remembered
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm so happy you told me um, that I'm a true winter because this has been something that has plagued my brain because I see all the social media accounts that are like, "What color season are you? What color season is this person?" And showing the side by sides of this is the celebrity in their colors, this is them not.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have been so obsessed with this lately of being like, I know I've got to be a winter. I must be a winter, but I don't know which winter. And I love black, but should I wear black? Like this has been cycling in my brain
Yeah,
so frequently. And I'm like, but I really like black, but everyone wears black. And so, yeah, that was very reassuring to hear. Thank you.
totally, totally. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
funny how we get caught up on these things. Um, Speaking of, can you speak more to the psychology of color and how different colors communicate? So if someone's looking at their branding and how they're going to show up within their brand, how do we want to be looking at color?
Yeah. I work with this incredible creative director who's actually really good at that from the like web design brand, brand
Yeah.
logo perspective because she does even though she's not trained in any kind of psychology or anything like that, she has also studied a lot about color and values. So she'll elicit from them, what are the your three core values of you and your business and then starting to pull both from very similar way of doing the color allies that I do. She'll
Okay.
find that person's colors and then within that, she will then align each one to their values. So if we have somebody who's a yoga instructor or in some kind of movement practice and peace is part of their values or
Mhm.
quiet thoughtfulness or compassion. I would even encourage anybody listening or watching to just say, what do I think of when I think of compassion? You definitely don't think about like a heavy yellowy or red, like a real hard
Yeah.
color. You think of maybe something a little bit softer or whatever comes to mind. But like you already know that those kinds of colors can evoke something. So if I had a business that was like compassionate yoga or something. And then the colors were hard red, hard black, hard yellow. It's like, I don't
Mm,
know. I don't know that I would see that. I would see
yeah,
a video game maybe or something like that, or tech company.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
So how do you marry that? Like you have this is the brand, this is what the person's doing, and then you have what looks good on this person. And how do you align those 2?
Yeah, there's going to be compassion in every season. So it's like
Okay.
compassion or strength in every season. So it is a good idea for people to know what colors enhance their natural beauty. Because that
Yeah.
that will support then you choose within that. Like for
Okay.
me, I'm a platinum summer, which is even more detailed than a subcategory. It's
Wow.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so one of my really, really strong colors is a berry, like a really red purple berry, and also a deep green. I'm trying to think, it's
Okay.
not forest green, but it's like a dial down from that.
Mhm.
And those are my colors that I would wear to a gala, or if I had to buy one outfit for one single event, and I would do that. Those are my more striking colors, my powerful colors. And then,
Yeah.
like Saturday morning, I have this new set of jammies from a company that sent me some to try Neowai, Neiwai, and sparrow is the color. So it's basically a purplish mauve, like really light, sweet color. So
Nice.
everybody has power colors.
Yeah. Okay, so it's just matching, like, the brand values and the brand and then your
Yeah,
personal
exactly.
palette and your style.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. What if
Mhm.
like, I can see that working really well for a personal brand, but what if it's a bigger brand and it's not a personal brand anymore and you have like, how do you match those 2 if it's not a personal brand?
Say more. So we're talking about
Okay.
if somebody works for someone else or if their
Yeah,
brand got so
or
big
if
that
their
it's
brand
just
just got so big, it's just not them anymore. It's no longer about them.
yeah. It sounds to me like at that point, if it's become like if you've created a whole organization or a corporation, then you're also trying to represent so then, yeah, the brand is no longer you. So you're also trying to represent the largesse, I think that's the word, like the bigness of the
Mhm.
brand itself, and that it
Yeah,
is an entity with lots of people power, right?
yeah,
So I could see how then you would probably turn the dial up on those colors. So I caution people to do an entire rebrand that then makes it like that there's no flavor of you in there unless I mean if you sell
right.
it, it's somebody else's. But yeah.
Yeah, fair enough, that makes sense. How do you approach working with someone who's, like, really struggling with getting dressed and showing up and really struggling with the emotional side of getting dressed and being visible?
Yeah. That is a lot of people, and that is what the benefit of having a therapist does for just the simple introduction, like, when I'm on a call, when somebody says, "I wanna work with you," and I'm getting to know them, the sensitivity with which I approach that element, I if I know you know these terms, and I'm imagining your listeners have learned a lot of these terms from you, but, like, override. So, like,
Mhm.
if we override, um, some experience and I'm like, "No, no, this is gonna look great," and then that person just isn't ready, even though it probably
Yeah,
looks great from a technical perspective, but they aren't ready. The amount of shrinking they would do in a social setting, I would just not feel comfortable.
right.
So stretching takes titrate that, just like in therapy, I'm not gonna say, "Hey, start at the top. Let's go for let's go for the most difficult thing." It's like, let's ease into this so your nervous system can, feel feel like it is catching up as well. Yes, I push people outside of their comfort zone, but at a pace that it works for them. So it's just a little bit
Yeah,
at a time. For people who feel really sensitive, some are just like, "Do it, girl. Like, let's get it done. I want a total
oh,
overhaul." And they are showing me, and I am seeing that they truly are ready. But yeah, I had somebody recently who highly intellectual woman, incredible human, writer, just, like, so intelligent and grew up as a feminist and was like, "My body's the least important thing. My looks are the least important thing about me." True.
right,
And
yeah.
she came to me and was like, "I've been living in my head, and this is the most important thing from a values perspective, my brain, what I know, how
Mhm.
I feel, the way I relate to people." But she had a dissociation with her body. Like it had gone to the level where she had not ever reclaimed a sense of authenticity and self
Yeah.
through how she dressed. And she just found herself, she said, I look like I'm like older than I am. And so what she meant by that is like, I don't feel the vitality that I feel inside my body. I don't feel that. Clothes were
Mhm.
baggy, a lot of grays, browns, colors that, just really kind of washed her out and muted her
Yeah.
and invisibility. But through writing, she's doing writing through her poetry and her writing, it was like a coming out for her. So this was an alignment of the coming out. And so yeah, we took it slow, but we had a great time. We had a great time
Yeah. And
when we
what
got
was
there.
the end result of working with her? What was her transformation like?
Yeah. She had a lot of political events to attend with her spouse lives in DC, and so she said she walked in oh, yeah, the most recent thing she reported back to me was she said she walked into a room, so she's around a lot of big politicians and some celebrities, and she found somebody she was really interested in talking to. She said she walked right up to them and they had a really great conversation. She described to me what would have happened before. Walk into the room, just this really long period of discomfort in her skin, like, do I fit in? Like all of that background
Yeah.
noise that would have taken up the amount of time that she would have had to have that conversation. So she was a shortcut. She walked in, she saw the person she had been wanting to talk to. She walked right up to them. She felt the confidence. And she said it was because of how she felt in her outfit. And then she got this
Amazing.
extended period of time of talking to them. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's what an incredible transformation in someone. Like that's amazing.
You should get to live your life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great way to put it. You get to live your life. Yeah. Yeah. How can fashion act as a strategy to help build credibility in business?
Hmm. People notice when you're hiding. A lot of people, okay, so let's think about the age of social media, right? So
Yeah.
we show our faces much more. I mean, even here, like it's not just an audio podcast, it's also a visual podcast. And so a lot of people have these incredible businesses, but have never shown their face because they're not confident in themselves. They don't like themselves, or they have some narrative about their body, which is totally valid for them to have because it's something that society and, like supremacist culture, patriarchy has all overlaid onto them. So
Yeah.
it's totally normal to feel that way. And they've never had the support needed to really transform their sense of themselves so that they can show up. If I see
Yeah.
a business and I don't know who's behind it, like, especially in this day and age, is it a bot? Is it real? Whatever. If I can't see that person, I have a harder time attaching to the product or the
Yeah.
service that's being offered. So it allows people to show up. It can be really striking and engaging. So there's a magnetism that comes from like your red suit. I mean, it's such a cool thing to have had
Thanks.
happen and then to talk about today. Yeah. It's like a magnetism. People were like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
wow. Wow, it's showing up great. Do a photo shoot. I mean, think about that. If you were like, oh, I've been needing to do a photo shoot, and then somebody was like, here is your look. This is your look. And then you do a photo
Yeah.
shoot. And all of a sudden you have new imagery. And then you're like, oh, I want to put that on social media. Or I want to, revamp my website and add these images. And then you've got more visibility and more SEO. I mean, this is very technical, but like that is how it
Yeah.
works. It just
Yeah.
is a domino effect.
Oh, absolutely. How about how much should you dress to represent what it is you do? Like, for example, before I did what I do now, 10 years ago, I was a personal trainer. So I would go to networking events looking like a personal trainer, but I would wear like nice Lululemon, like not the stuff I'd work out in, but like the nicer Lululemon jacket and stuff. But I wouldn't wear, say, a suit to go networking because I always felt like that would be incongruent with what I was doing and how I wanted to be seen. Is that valid? Like, is that really a thing? Or how should we be choosing our clothes to represent our work?
Mhm. Well, I have 2 questions. One would be, what would be the alternative? Like, wearing a suit regardless or wearing, like, business casual for the
Yeah,
networking
or
regardless?
yeah,
Mhm,
either. Yeah,
mhm. And then my other question is, how did you feel by putting on the more elevated pieces? When you were going
good.
to it, like, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it was good.
you just said it. You said, if I did something else, like wore a suit, it would feel incongruent. People wouldn't know, it'd be like, instead of I can think of this woman, Georgia, who lives in Asheville, who I see at networking events, and she's also a personal trainer, and she does the same
Yeah,
thing. Like, that she is, because of how she dresses. So I could ask
right.
her, "What do you do?" And then when she says, "I'm a personal trainer," I'm like, "Oh, yeah, obviously." Obviously.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense, right? Yeah,
Mhm. And then it
yeah.
clicks for people. And I like what you talked about, like, you elevated, so instead of wearing kind of your oldest set of workout
Mhm.
leggings and a hoodie, you would elevate it a little bit and put on the nicer, newer jacket and the nicer pants, and I think
Yeah.
that's the answer.
How can we use clothes to step into our future goals?
Yeah. When I do photo shoots, marketing and branding photo shoots with people, I ask that question, right? Like, where are you headed? Like,
Mhm.
why are we doing this photo shoot? because some part of your business either grew and you need to represent that growth, or is in the process of growing, or you want it to grow, or you're building a business for the first time, but you're like, you're headed in another direction, whether you're on your way or going to be on your way. And so I always have a couple of outfits in there, if not all of them, if the person's open to it, that represent this future version of themselves. And it can take having a conversation, like a couple of conversations of people being like, I don't know, like telling me all the things that their brain is telling them as to why to stay safe, why to not do that. And, the conversation is, well, if we're wearing what you wore for your last photo shoot or something that you feel like really overly comfortable in, do we think that that is going to represent this new version of you in life and business? So there is a
Okay.
stretch, and then people either are on set for the photo shoot or get their results, and they feel they very much feel like they grew into that person just in the process of working together, and they see themselves,
Yeah.
that is who I am and who I am becoming.
Yeah.
And
That's so cool.
it's yeah, yeah. So it's a little bit of a fake it till you make it, or jump before you're ready, that kind of thing. Like, step into who you want to become. The old way of saying it was dress for the job you want. So it's
Right.
similar.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have a client who did that very thing. He was in real estate and he wanted to get into
Mm.
luxury real estate.
Yes.
And he knew before he even became a realtor, this is the level of house I want to sell. These are the clients I want to
Hmm.
work with. So the very first house he sold, he took his entire commission check and went and
Yeah.
bought a whole new wardrobe, designer
Yes.
clothes, high end, everything very
Yeah.
polished, tailored. He, couldn't afford rent, didn't know how he was paying rent the next month, which I
Hmm.
think is a little extreme, but he was like, he knew that if
Hmm.
he looked the
Yeah.
part, he would get another listing and he would sell another house. And he did. It all worked out for him. But it was so clear to him that
Big
I
leap of
have to
faith.
look this way if I want to work with these people and sell this type of home, that I need to elevate myself. And
Yeah.
it's worked out very well for him. Yeah.
I did this for myself. So when I turned 40 last year, I felt different. I felt different when I turned 30.
Yeah.
I really felt different. I was 3 years postpartum, and that was such a difficult time. And having a kid was incredibly transformative. And I was approaching 40, and I was like, there's just this maturation that I feel right now.
Yeah.
So I decided it was time to have a new photo shoot. The last two photo shoots I had had previously, I was postpartum. So like my hair looked different, my body looked different, everything looked different. And so and very much me at that time, very bold, bright, bubbly. And I decided to pay attention to, of my palette, which colors felt more sophisticated, because people think I'm, bubbly and adorable. But did they understand the deep transformation that would come from my work with them? Did they really understand my wisdom? And
Mm,
10 years in business for myself, 20 years as a therapist, like the education that I got, having a kid, all of these things that offered me life experience to develop the wisdom that I can offer back to my clients. Like, you just couldn't see that.
yeah.
And so I did a big photo shoot, and I proverbially quit my job. I asked my husband at the top of, what was it, this year or last year? It was last year. I was like, what would you say if I closed my business? And he was great. He was like,
Wow.
we're closing soul reflection and we don't know what we're gonna do. It's like, because I bring in half the income.
Yeah.
But I needed to know that I could kind of dissolve me as I had been and step into this me that in this next decade of my business. And I would say to people, because I was on a couple of podcasts in that time period,
Yeah.
and I was actually on NPR, North Carolina's NPR, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's coming. But I, like you with the red suit, just kept following my instincts. So I proverbially closed my business and got more clients than I knew what to do with. But I think it was because I was putting in that effort of like,
Yeah.
not who I am. And I'm not who I was. I did a new branding photo shoot that are incredible. I hired my own makeup and hair artist, which I have never done because I've always done my own.
Yeah.
I had a whole team. It was awesome. And then
Amazing.
I yeah, and then I hired, one of my employees full time. Huge investment.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe this, but I am leading a retreat, a style and soul retreat in Italy in April.
Wow.
And that
That's
was
incredible.
it it is. Thank you. And like yeah, I mean, I had to take the financial risk of hiring this person full time. I had to dissolve the old me. I had to step into this. I was worried about the mature sophistication thing. I was like, I don't ever want to be too serious, or I don't,
Mhm.
I don't want to be, I want to be fun. And, but I didn't lose any of that. I just
Yeah.
opened up people being able to see the other part of me without having to work with me first, but just being able to see that. So, yeah, and I mean, that's the outcome. I mean, I'm traveling,
Yeah.
to Italy to lead this beautiful retreat. So that was a huge yeah, and that's I mean, a little girl can't do a retreat in Italy. A woman
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, there are no rules. Anybody can do what they want, but you know what I mean? For me, that
Yeah.
was for me.
Yeah. And I get that because I'm 44 now, and I had that sort of same or very similar, like, awakening around 40 of, like, "How do I wanna show up now?
Yeah.
How do I wanna
Yeah.
be?" And it's not like and I don't think it's like a 40, like, "Oh, now I need to," like, matronly thing, not that at all, but, like,
Mm-mm. Yeah.
you know what? There is something spiritual that happens around the age of 40 where we really step into our power and
Mhm.
really start showing up in, I think, an even more authentic way. Or we have the
Yeah.
opportunity to. We can shut it down, but there's this awakening inside that's like, "Okay, this is who you are. This is who you're here to be. Are you gonna
Mhm.
step into it and show the world who you are?" And I think
That's right.
that's so powerful.
Apologetically. Yeah. I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
I hear that 60 is actually the best decade for this.
Really?
I mean, yeah. I mean, which just means
Cool.
50 is even better than 40. But like, I have heard so
Yeah.
many people say at 60, that is when they literally drop the rock of other people's expectations. Like we have done, like
Wow.
we just talked about doing that to some degree. Like, am I going to
Yeah.
be bold and courageous enough to step into my authenticity and myself? Which does mean saying I really can't care what other people think.
Mhm.
But apparently 60 is even better.
Oh, I just got goosebumps. I'm like, "Oh, something to look forward to. That sounds exciting."
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so
Absolutely.
curious what that will be like. Amazing.
And just to your point about the matronly thing, I have a lot of people who are either getting divorced or have just had kids. So they've become a parent, or they are stepping into a new part of their business, or it is an age, they're turning a certain
Yeah.
age. And they will say things like, I don't want to look like I can't wear that because I'm too big, or I'm too old, or I'm too this, right? And everybody's got their, or my arms, or my legs, my ankles, my toes, and I can't wear that. And, you know, for me, the sophistication, like I heard the similar words, not I can't, but I heard similar words of like, I don't want to wear that. But there was no part of me that felt like I was stepping into like a Chronos number
Yeah.
age. It was
Yeah.
stepping into a sense of myself. So if at, 75, you want a way to express more vitality, we may be looking in a different department than where some other 75-year-old people may be shopping. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so interesting. And as you were talking about that, I was thinking about how, like, I know growing up in the 80s, like, it seemed like women would reach a certain age and they'd cut their hair short and they would wear
Mhm.
very shapeless things. And I
Yeah.
remember even as a kid being like, I don't want to do that. Like,
Mhm.
that seems so boring. And unless you want
Mhm.
that, but otherwise, like, that seems so boring that it's
Yeah.
like time to cut your hair. And
The prescription
yeah,
of it, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
who made
I'm
that up? Is that just
Yeah,
like did it
exactly,
get
exactly, and I don't know if you've seen these memes, but there's all these memes that go around about the Golden Girls and how they were actually, like, in their, like, mid to late 40s, early 50s. Yes, yes, and I look at that and I'm like, there's wow, like, what were people doing to women back then? Like, what? I'm so glad we're not
they
there
were becoming
anymore.
invisible.
Yeah.
But I am still, I mean, one of the things that I hear the most is I can't work with you till I lose 5 pounds. I mean, you could be 500 pounds or 125 pounds. It's always 5 pounds. It's always 5 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so you have to get dressed every day. So why not
Mhm.
enjoy it? Even if your
Yep.
body is changing, even if you
Yeah.
want it to change in any
Yeah.
direction, you got to get dressed. So let's enjoy it. And that would,
Totally.
yeah, there's no more invisible women. That's just not a
No.
thing.
No.
Although that there are people who still grew up hearing that. Even you and
Yep.
I grew up hearing
Yeah.
that. So we're all just changing the narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good. And I get that, like the whole weight loss thing, because when I went from being a personal trainer, I made the transition in my career because I was having a bunch of health issues. And with that came an unexplained rapid weight gain that I could not control.
Hmm.
And I went when you were talking about that, I'm like, that was me several years ago of thinking
The
like,
five
oh, I
pound.
can't buy new clothes until I lose weight. I'm just going to wear
Hmm.
these things that hide my body because I have to lose weight before I can buy nice things. And I remember just one day waking up and going, no, no, I'm going to love this body and I'm going to dress this body because I love this body. And that's it.
Hmm.
And if I lose weight, I'll buy new clothes. Not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it made such a difference in how I felt by just buying
Yes.
things
Exactly.
that looked good on my
Exactly.
body as it was at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that's going to be more uplifting than feeling good in wherever you are, in
Yeah.
whatever stage of your life. That
Yeah.
was after I had my kiddo. So I'm a square 5 foot tall and I gained like, I don't know, 50 pounds or something, like I gained a fair amount of weight and on my small frame too. And I looked cute every day of that pregnancy, and it was during COVID, and I looked cute
Yeah.
every day of that pregnancy because I wanted to and I could, and it gave me a lot of people were like, "Oh, she's hasn't had kids, she doesn't know what it's like to dress when you
Mm,
have an infant and you're breastfeeding or you're getting spit up on or, you're a dad and you're sleep deprived or you're, whatever spouse and
yeah.
you're like raising a toddler or your body has changed if you're the person that gave birth for the birthing parent. And it's like, what? So I got some street cred when I had my own experience. And then after that, I didn't do anything intentionally to lose the weight. Eventually, I got to kind of my steady
Mhm.
weight, my like natural weight, but I didn't do anything. So for years, I just kept figuring out what to wear with this
Yeah.
evolving body, but also much heavier than I had been. But I didn't, but I showed up. I mean, I have this post from forever ago on Instagram where I'm wearing like a lacy black bra. This was for
Wow.
fun, but it was to make a point, a lacy black bra with like a little body chain and like one side pulled down with my kid on my breast
Uh,
and being just like, just keep dressing for you. Like I get that we're all tired. I was struggling
yeah.
mightily with depression and anxiety, but getting dressed and remembering that I was still me was so valuable for my self-esteem during this very, very challenging time.
Yeah, I think that that is such a great message for everybody listening to hear that. On that note, any final words you'd like to leave the audience with today?
First of all, please reach out if you have any questions. And my newsletter has a lot of these same kinds of
Good.
conversations, these kind of authentic, open conversations, somewhat controversial at times, and
Mhm.
also just really leans into the psychology and mindfulness of it. So feel free to subscribe to my newsletter. And then there's a couple freebies. I have a Stretch Your
Nice.
Style Simply 5-day challenge, and speaking back to that titration, it's just trying one simple thing every day
Mhm.
and taking note of how you feel. I have a self-guided closet inventory and things, so there's a couple of things people can do just to have that sense. And the self-guided closet inventory is also, noticing what you have, what you like, what you don't like. So it's all about the felt sense of things. And then, yeah,
Right.
I would love to talk to anybody about working together, especially your listeners who are
Yeah.
entrepreneurs who are trying to show up in a new and more bold and authentic way.
Perfect. Perfect. And I have
And come to Italy.
yeah, come to I mean, that
We do have a
sounds
few spots left.
amazing. That sounds
Yeah, we
amazing. So
we
I
just
will link
opened registration, so we have
oh,
a few
good.
spots left. Yeah.
Good. So I will link all that in the show notes. Do you have the link for Italy in your
I
website?
do.
I'll grab it.
I
Okay,
do.
good. I'll
Yeah.
I'll put that there as well because that
Yeah.
sounds phenomenal. I'm gonna look
It's
at if I can go because
yeah.
that sounds
Yes,
really
please.
cool. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
so
will
much
just
fun.
say that yes, I will just say I've been so unbelievably overjoyed with the people who have signed up. I was like, "Oh, you didn't know I didn't know who was gonna be able
Yeah,
and willing and available." And it is a really, really, really cool group of people so far.
cool.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. And I have just a couple of rapid fire questions for you
Okay.
if you're game for it.
Got it.
What's a book, an app, or a resource that you think people should use to grow their business?
Back your time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good one.
Dan Martell.
Nice. Awesome. Good. What's a fashion trend you would like to see get left behind?
I was disappointed that skinny jeans came back so fast. People, if you've got them, you love them. I've got thick legs, and they always felt too restrictive, but I wore them because that's kind of all you could buy for a while. I was
Yeah.
disappointed. They made fun
Yeah.
of us millennials for hanging on too long, and then so we all finally let go, and then they flipped the
Yep.
script. Brought it
Yep.
back.
I'm
Rude.
I'm with you on that. I'm still hanging I love the wide leg denim.
I do
Like
too. Yeah.
I'm here for it, so I'm not letting it go yet. Not going back to the
Yeah.
skinny jeans yet.
Or ever.
Or ever. Yeah, maybe ever. That is a good point. And what is your favorite fashion trend?
I think the one that would maybe be most relatable is pattern mixing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just it'll if you get the colors, there has to be something familial in each piece. So whether it's like the size of the pattern, a color and tone, or
Cool.
yeah, things like that. If there's something familial, putting it all together, it looks wacky and yet so put together at the same time.
Very cool. Very cool. And what's a color that you will never wear? Or
None.
is there one? Wow.
I don't look It's funny, I don't love navy on me, which is it's not really in my palette, but it is a summer color.
Yeah.
I don't like navy.
Yeah, yeah.
Just I know this is rapid fire, but to that point, there is also alignment with our personalities, and so while something may be in your color palette, it also might not be representative of your personality, and I feel like navy
Yeah.
registers as fairly conservative on me.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed this conversation and I know
Me
everyone
too.
listening is enjoying it too. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Wasn't that a lot of fun? I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure you did as well. Make sure you check out all of the links in the show notes. Every link that was mentioned is there. What was your biggest takeaway from this episode? I would love to hear maybe an inspiration that you had, how you're going to look at your clothing differently, maybe a new risk you're willing to take with your fashion. What was your takeaway from today's show? Share it with us either in the comments if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify, or send me a direct message at the Teri Holland on Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening today. Bye for now, my friends.